Good morning, Bears. It's Thursday, Friday, epic grand finale where we give an assignment that can carry you through Friday. So tomorrow we can look at slideshows, look at your work, and it's especially fun this week. Well, we don't technically celebrate Halloween here at school because just like we don't technically celebrate religious holidays, and some people consider Halloween to have some religious undertones, overtones, whatever you might say, it is a fun time to talk about creatures and costumes. So if you want to wear something fun to class tomorrow on Friday, that'd be great. I'll come as something, a little character. I'm giving away some clues. We'll see, but you'll see if you can guess it tomorrow. And then it's a fun week to talk about claim, evidence, reasoning, and talking about the internet and just checking claims. You always want to check claims on the internet. You want to check claims everywhere. Don't believe everything you read. Don't believe headlines. Do your research. Find sources. Find out what the source's perspective is. If you go to a website that is called Aliens Exist, you're probably going to get some information to back up that aliens exist. If you go to a website called Debunking Aliens, you're probably going to get a perspective that aliens do not exist. So what's smart is check your sources, go to both, see if they're credible. What does credible mean? If somebody's giving you science information and then you go research and the person that's giving it to you is a plumber, well, that's great. They know a lot about plumbing, but maybe they don't know about science and health research. Meanwhile, if you go to a website to learn how to fix your sink, and then you look and you see it is a doctor of internal medicine, well, maybe he knows how to fix plumbing, but that's not his expertise. So you want to find the credibility of your author. And so if you look here real quick, another thing we want to factor in is when something was written. Remember, in history, we like to find things from the time period that it happened. That's called a primary source. But then we want to find the most recent secondary sources. For example, if we're going to study the Sphinx, which we're going to do in a couple of weeks, we would want to go back and see if we can find writings about the Sphinx, see if we can find a historian from the time period that maybe talked about when the Sphinx or who built the Sphinx. And then, of course, we might even want to look at photographs of the actual Sphinx. And if we had the abilities, we would go on site, do archaeological studies at the Sphinx and see what's it built of. Because there's some crazy, I don't know about crazy, but interesting theories on the Sphinx that we're going to dive into when we come back into history in 2 weeks. So you would want to find that primary source, and now the secondary source most recent. So today, mythological creatures. Remember, mythological means there's a true definition of mythological, like ancient times, like the mythological gods. In this sense, we're just talking about creatures that people think are fake, and so that can't be real, or could they? For example, Bigfoot. Let's take a look. Now, we could do superheroes, fairies, dwarves, elves, little people, giants, a character from a video game, anything you want, and you are going to pick those characters, probably something you like and find as interesting. You're going to make a claim. I think this could be a real character. And even if we know it's probably not a real character, could it be scientifically? Then you're going to give some evidence why you think it could be real. Like, well, Captain America could have a super soldier serum. Dogs and cats, they can jump 5 times their height, so why couldn't Captain America jump 5 times his height if he had the super soldier serum and his body, like Spider-Man, if he had the strength of a spider? So you're going to give evidence, and then you're going to give your reasoning because of this evidence, because spiders can jump 10 times their height. I think a human could also jump 10 times their height. It's fun, and it trains us how to research things, have claims, have evidence, have reasoning for good arguments. Let's look at the Yeti, or Bigfoot, or Sasquatch. Now, if you look here, I just typed in, could Bigfoot be real? Mythbusters. And here's Yeti is real, DNA proves it, claims scientist Brian Sykes. Now notice, 7 years ago, ABC News, pretty mainstream, doesn't mean they know anything, but, and this is a professor, so we could look up his source. Let's look at this one. Another one, Bigfoot evidence seen in DNA study. Veterinarians claims that species is real, makes news. Notice, also ABC News, also 7 years ago. This guy probably came out with it and it made headlines. Jane Goodall is actually a scientist that studies gorillas. Very famous. This is interesting. It's only 2 years ago, a lot newer. And she says why she thinks Bigfoot may be real. So you might want to go check that one. Remember, you can just type this in if you're doing Bigfoot. You can type in, could Captain America be real? Could superheroes be real? You can do your research as you want. I'm just giving it an example. Now look at this. Bigfoot, the Sasquatch Museum is dedicated to answering questions, is Bigfoot real? That's 1 year ago. And what we're looking is just to kind of find something fun. Bigfoot, real or hoax? Now, it looks like a picture there. 3 minutes is not bad. Another alleged sighting. Once again, ABC News, interesting enough. But let's just take a peek. And let's remember, we're going to examine the claims, we're going to look at the evidence, and we're going to see if we think it's real.
Bigfoot right now, back on the radar at a Tampa Bay park. If you'll recall, for the Christmas holiday, a fisherman sent us this picture of what he is calling a creature wading through a swamp near USF. Now, a second person has sent us a different picture of a footprint. Our Christy Post is tackling what is fact and what is fiction. You actually went out there today, brave soul.
I did. So this woman, she sent us this picture right here of an alleged Bigfoot footprint. She says it was twice as big as her woman's size 9. She's still wondering if this is all a practical joke, so I went straight into that swamp to find answers.
This is a common sight at Lettuce Lake Park off of East Fletcher in Tampa.
Turkeys, deer, raccoons, armadillos, sometimes we have hogs.
Park Ranger Carol Legan tells us if something is out of the norm, they will know.
Last weekend, somebody reported they saw a python out on the boardwalk. I went out, no python. You know, it could have been a stick or just a regular snake.
With nearly 1,000 visitors weekly,
People that come out and picnic.
Legan says they patrol the 240-acre nature park from sunup to sundown.
Just safety checks.
So far, no sightings or reports of a so-called Bigfoot. Her first thought when the photo surfaced, said to be taken at the park by John Rodriguez.
That it's a hoax, that it's not real. It looked like an ape costume in the water.
Further debunking, when you right-click on the picture, the metadata reveals it was run through Photoshop. Rodriguez stands by his word, saying he only saved the picture through the program. But Legan points out the swamp on this property is extremely shallow.
Something was in there, you would see it. It would be probably ankle deep.
Now, more alleged Bigfoot evidence has surfaced. This time, a woman taking a picture of a large footprint. Looking at the details behind that photo, it shows it was snapped with an iPhone 6 and doesn't look like anything has been altered. Whatever you believe, Legan says with how popular the park is and the 3-story tower that looks over it,
You can see down the river, up the river.
she says it would be hard for Bigfoot to hide.
Okay, kind of creepy. Real or fake? Well, I sent these images to an image expert, and he says he doesn't think anything was photoshopped. But wait, he does think this was a practical joke. Someone did it out in the field, and then someone happened to take a picture of it. So maybe it was staged. We have yet to see.
We'll wait for the Twilight Zone. Christy.
All right, real or fake? That is exactly what we're talking about here, guys. So that was great. You notice they used the word evidence. She went on site to look at the evidence, and and I think it looks fake to me. Now that doesn't mean Bigfoot is fake. It just means that particular one is fake. So that's just an idea of what we're thinking about today as we're doing our slides. We want them to be fun. We want them to be entertaining. We want to know about Mandalorian. We want to know about claim, evidence, and reason. Yes, you can wear Mandalorian. Mandalorian comes out tomorrow. Oh, yeah. So tomorrow's going to be fun, guys. All right, I'm going to put in detail what an A is for this week's slideshows right here in groups. Check that out. Let's get started. I want to look at some of your slideshows from yesterday. We have a lot of evidence on religion. Did we do religion? No, not religion this week. We did economics, which is money, accomplishments, which could be agriculture, weapons, things like that. And we went right to the primary source, Babylonian. You should have a slide for that. 2 days ago, we did did they believe in equal rights? And so you found evidence from the Babylonians' code on equal rights. You can check the videos below on Highland Bear Cinema. And then that was our week. So those are the basic slides for this week, and including our bonus slide. Let's get to it.